Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting. We'll begin with a salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Brasky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank everybody for coming. We'll begin our meeting. First item on our agenda is public comment. Okay. First name on the list is Marla Lipkin. Is that right?
Good evening. I am here today to speak to you on behalf of the education support professionals of Pennsbury, whom are excited to propose an initiative that will foster our students' love for learning through their passion of reading. While we do have 2 libraries in the surrounding area, having a library near the Township Park, which families frequently visit to use the playground, would enable students to easily and conveniently access books. Furthermore, having a library situated next to a playground helps create a positive association for students, signaling that books are also fun and that physical exercise can be balanced with mental enrichment. Members of the Pennsbury Educational Support Staff, local, are looking forward to keeping the library well-maintained and ensuring that books are readily available. In addition to this proposed project, we currently have a student who is building 4 libraries for us, which we will be petitioning for placement in surrounding communities, including Falls and Lower Makefield. We are excited to provide an enriched learning environment for our students that extend beyond their classroom and into their communities. We thank you so much for your consideration for our proposal and are looking forward to a positive response. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Lipkin. I know we were, a couple of members of your, the support staff had approached us and talked to us about this over the past several months.
Yes.
And I think
It's been a long time planning.
now, yeah, and it makes, I mean, it's really, I think, something that's going to be great, another great addition to the Township Park. And so we're really pleased to be working with you on this, and thank you for your efforts to help us make the park better.
Thank you. And I guess my next step is to submit, they're already being built. Of course, we would be responsible for the maintenance and maintaining books and getting it in properly. You know, if you can help me along with the process. So is it officially submitted now that I've spoken in front of?
I don't think there's going to be I guess the next step really would be to talk to one of the gentlemen sitting behind you, Mr. Andrews. He is the Director of Parks and Recreation.
Oh, okay.
So you can meet with him and set up areas where you think they would go best.
Great.
And then we can move forward from there. He'll come to us at some point in the future, and you know, I don't even know if he needs to come to us. Yeah, he can really just kind of put him up when he wants to, and you know, the gentleman sitting right behind you, Mr. Lawson, is Public Works Director, so he can help get them installed. So
Wait,
you came
I think
at a
I
good night.
borrowed his pen.
Right, so, yeah.
Great. Well, I thank you so much for your consideration with this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person on the list is Sean Stillwell.
Hi, I'm a Falls Township resident, and I just wanted to speak a little bit about Elcon and the fact that everyone that I speak to is absolutely positively against it. I recognize that you guys have said in past meetings that there's nothing before you at this point, but I think it's important that we keep coming to this microphone and standing before you and letting you know that there are residents upon residents upon residents, and more so non-residents, that are absolutely against Elcon being placed in our community. we already have enough that we absorb for so many different areas of this area and outside of our area. I think that if it needs to be placed someplace, it should be going somewhere else at this point, anywhere else. Certainly not in our community, and certainly not close to a water source for millions upon millions of people. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Jennifer Sayers.
Hi, I'm 57 Walnut Lane, Falls Township, and I'm here backing her up. Many people in our neighborhood feel the same way we do. We do not want Elcon here, and I'm not going to reiterate, everyone said it over and over again, but we're going to keep coming and keep telling you, we do not want Elcon here. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you. Alicia Jorgensen.
Hi, I'm another resident, Falls Township, who doesn't want Elcon here. I don't want my kids to breathe the polluted air, and I don't want my house to go down in value because of that. I don't want it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Lisa Farrell.
As I said before, that I'd keep coming back, and I'm here again. And other people are going to keep coming by too. So it's an important thing to the whole community, and I think we're really getting scared about the power that Elcon seems to be pushing this thing like down our throats. And some of the things that they say just aren't exactly true. I really kind of got a mishmash of things I just wanted to say tonight, but if anyone went to the Sheraton meeting, Elcon said, we have no problems, with permits, we've never been denied a permit, we've never had a problem. Well, this is an article from an Israeli newspaper that I somehow came across, which states, and I'll read it to you, Elgot, which is the CEO of Elcon, says that despite the financial damage Elcon sustained as a result of the Environmental Protection Ministry's cancellation of various permits, the waste that is disposed in Galilee pools did not pose a risk to the environment. My point is, he stood up there and stated several times there were nothing, no, they've never been denied anything, and they've never had any permits pulled, and it says right here, you can have this copy, that they did have permits pulled. So you can figure out whatever you want to figure out on that one, but it's in black and white, and it's from an Israeli newspaper. Another thing I want to make clear is, this is from the EPA. This is a definition, general description of a thermal oxidizer. Everyone says they're not incinerators. Okay, the first 4-5 words are thermal oxidizers or thermal incinerators. EPA general definition. So I just want to make it clear that when people are saying, it's really an incinerator, well, EPA defines this as an incinerator, and if you look it up in anywhere else online and Google it and look up definition thermal oxidizer, you're going to get or thermal incinerator. So it's just, a difference in the way you want to portray it. Thermal incinerator sounds worse. Thermal oxidizer sounds like you're breathing oxygen. So. But I also want to make a point about, I think that what the biggest thing that people are misrepresenting our goal as people of Falls Township and, surrounding communities is that we're not saying that this is a horrible company and what they're doing is a horrible thing. We're saying there's just too much population and there's too much damage that can be done to our area, to our waterways, to our air. We've had, as the other woman said, we've had too much. We can't handle anymore. And it's not, we get the necessary evils of this kind of a plant. We get it. It's just that we don't want the you know, the possibility of an accident happening before it's even thermally oxidized. You know, with the trucks, with the 25 trucks, we'll probably expand. You know, coming down Route 13, you know, I don't even like to drive on Route 13, but, you know, we're going to have these big, huge trucks coming up and down this road. It's just the before effect that is the most concerning to all of our residents here. You know, the after effect, oh, they might do a good job. Who knows? But it's that little piece of something going wrong, and you know something, Murphy's Law, something always goes wrong. No matter your best intentions, something's going to go wrong. And that's what we're concerned about. We're not concerned, well, we are concerned about, you know, the excess pollution to the area and stuff like that. But, you know, it's the before thing that's even more important. You know, one spill in there, it could go down to the Chesapeake Bay, you know, their oyster business. You don't know, with the amount of chemicals that are coming from this plant, you have no idea how long these things are going to reside in the soil at the bottom of the river, or even in the air, and when it comes down and lands on our soils. You can't predict stuff like that. So that's my concern, and that's what I want to make clear, that, you know, we're concerned about accidents that can happen, and they have happened in a lot of different places. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody want this?
Sure. If you don't mind parting with it. No. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, Veronica Lee.
Hello, I'm Veronica Lee. I've been a resident of Falls Township for 22 years now, and I just wanted to come and show my support for the other people that are against Elcon, the hazardous waste facility. It's just, we don't need another hazardous waste facility in our area, and I just wanted to state that I was against it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, those are the residents on the resident sign sheet. Is there anybody else, a resident who wishes to speak? Mr. Kinney.
Roland Kenny, Falls Township. Mr. Galloway, fantastic parade.
Thank you, sir.
I brought a chair to sit. I sat down, I couldn't get up. Took my granddaughter to pull me, my grandkids in back of me, and my great kids in back of them pushing me out of the chair. This shirt, I bought a lot of stuff there. Does that go to the vendors, that money they get, or does it, some of it go to the?
There were specific items being sold that benefited the parade.
Oh, it
but
does?
there were vendors on the side. They did their own thing.
Okay, that's okay then. I bought the shirt, so, and I got, they all wanted. So what do you want? You want anything to eat? Yeah, cotton kidney, $3 a bag. I said, it better go to you people. You gave me, you all come by. I don't know whether you had to get down off something to come shake my hand.
Oh, at the parade.
Yeah.
I thought I gave you something. I was like, what do I do now?
You gave me a big fat necklace.
Beads.
Beads. Well, when I got Friday, when I watched my grandson, he's 4 years old. He's seen them, he wanted them. I said, no, the little ones are for you. No. Them. I said, no, I have to ask the man if I can give you who gave me them. I don't give nothing away that I get. It's okay for me to give them?
They're your beads. You can give them to whoever you like.
Well, I just want to make it clear, because he knows. So the last thing he said, make sure you ask that man if I can have them.
That's funny.
I'm against that. Elcon, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I seen the man in here today. I said, they ain't on the agenda tonight. He's going around giving these out. And I said, yeah, I'll take one. When I seen the X, I said, oh, you're against them? Oh, yeah. I said, okay, then I'll take one. Yeah, we don't need that stuff. The girls are right. We have enough of that stuff killing us in this township. Right, sweetheart? I know you don't live in this township. Right, Mr. Gray? Am I right? And thank you again. Good night. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Good night.
Happy New Year. The Catholic year starts. Any other residents wish to speak? No? Okay. Move to the non-resident sign-in sheet. George Baxter.
Yeah, George Baxter, Lower Makefield. I'm a local businessman. My business is down off of Route 13. I don't know if any of you guys have been down to Dean Cyber recently, to the site where Alcon is proposed to build. I've spoken with a number of the businesses down there. 3 of the 4 right across from the site are strongly opposed to this business being placed there. If you've been down there on a day where, say, the ceiling's a little low, it's cloudy, when you get out of your car and go from the parking lot to whatever business it might be, some days you might want to gag. Some days you might wish you have a respirator on because the air quality is so nasty. Now, that's obviously a combination of what's going on with waste management in the dump, with Willabrator, the incinerator, the other incinerators that are down there processing EPA Superfund dirt. The air quality in that area is so far beyond what EPA standards are currently. It's a non-attainment zone. We are, as a county, are a non-attainment zone. But down there, they're ground zero. When I talked to one of the businesses and I mentioned the Alcon facility going in and the additional emissions that would go along with it, the one guy looked at me and said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "We have EPA down our throat right now on our business, which doesn't produce much, and they harass us about that, and DEP also." And he said, the idea of having another facility right here that's going to be an emitter of a significant number of thousands of tons, hundreds of thousands of tons, from your nitrous oxides to the other possible pollutants that are going to come out of that facility. He said, that's insane. He said, the condition of the air down here is so bad right now. And I've experienced it myself when I've been down there visiting. So I recommend all of you go down there on a day when it's a little cloudy. Get out of your cars and walk around and experience what the air is down there already. There are those that have businesses down there that are invested in that park. But if they want that park to be a going entity to the future, they cannot continue to pollute the air down there. Nobody's going to want to work there. They're not going to want to get out of the cars to work there. There's people covering up their cars with plastic during the day because they know the paint on their car is going to probably get damaged or stained, so they can't get it out in the course of them working during the day. I have pictures of this, cars being covered because they care about their car, so they cover it when they get to work. So anyway, that environment down there, which in turn is our environment here, it's translated, it's diluted down when it gets out to us. But down there on site, it is bad news. So it's really bad news. So, and last but not least, we are having an informational meeting this Wednesday at the Free Library off of New Falls Road for those that want to learn more about the Alcon proposed site. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, it's the only name on the non-resident sign-in sheet. Any other non-residents? See no hands? Okay, move on with the rest of our agenda here. Item 2 is consider proposal for paranormal activities for the Three Arches Historical Building. Mr. Gray.
Parks and Recreation has requested the board to consider an item regarding the Fairless Hills Paranormal Group to conduct paranormal studies at the Three Arches. Tonight, representing this item is Mr. Brian Anders from the Park and Rec Department.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. Little background on this request. Back in November 2015, Parks and Rec received an inquiry from a Mr. David Newman and his wife Sherry about possibly doing some paranormal studies at Three Arches. If you remember, about a year ago, we had an open house at Three Arches. We were coming up doing some brainstorming for some activities we wanted to do there. And this was kind of one of those ideas. So we were pretty interested, so I met with Dave and Sherry, took them on a tour of the home, and really got to talking to them a little bit. And a big thing that really appeals to us is that the group's willing to do a little more than just doing paranormal studies. They want to learn a little more about the house, possibly do some volunteer tours, do some fundraising, those sorts of things, bring in some other paranormal groups that they have some contacts with, some other activities. So we're really right now, if we're going to make an investment in Three Arches, hopefully, I know that's on the agenda after this, to get some activities in there such as this and get some people that are committed to being there and really learning about the home and really caring about it. I think this would be a great program to institute. And I've been working with Ms. Gallagher over the last few months to come up with an agreement with them. I think we have a pretty good, stable framework of an agreement right now. The group has purchased an insurance policy and have consented to do all the appropriate background checks, which they've successfully completed. And I have Mr. David Newman here to answer some questions if the board would like to ask them.
Sure, yeah, I think have Mr. Newman just talk a little bit about what he hopes to do there, what he plans to carry out. I think it'll be interesting.
How you doing? As Brian said, we're a local Falls Township group, Fairless Hills. We work close with a couple Bristol Township buildings, also Bolton Mansion, Fort Mifflin in Philadelphia. I've done fundraising for both. I know that's not a big focus. More the focus is the history, awareness, bringing the community to the building, using the building, instead of just sit there abandoned and vacant. What we do is mostly paranormal. I mean, we go into buildings such as Three Arches, Bolton Mansion. We do scientific studies. We use the equipment that if you watch any of the shows, we use the same equipment they use. I'm in contact with probably about 200 groups, some local, some out of state, some as far as Maryland and Florida. And, I mean, it's a big network. Always looking for new places to come. It's about the history. We believe that the history is the paranormal. It's about the people that used to live there, just the energy within the walls. It's a hard pill to swallow if you're skeptical about it, but I've been doing this now for 12 years. And I can tell you, I've seen just about everything. I've been pushed, scratched, anything under you can possibly think of. Nothing demonic, but it's really out there. And I invite you guys to come out to one, and I'll do an investigation just for you, right there in Three Arches. And no one's been in there, so the claims aren't there. I've heard a few from the homeowners that live there, just friends of the kids that used to live there in the house that had said stuff to their friends. It just happened to be somebody that lives on my street. So we did hear some things. The history is very vague on the internet about the building, so it's important to us to put that out there also. I mean, we just don't go in there for ourselves. We go in for the community to come out. We do public events, and just like Brian said, we've done a lot more than just paranormal. We've helped out, as a matter of fact, just this weekend at Bolton Mansion, they had a tea talks and a hearth baking class there. We do a lot of the setting up. We do a lot of the tearing down, help close the shutters, whatever we can do. They had their holiday house. We were there to help that out. So it's not just paranormal. Mm-hmm. And having a building that's in our township, I live in Fairless Hills, is even a plus more for me. It's more of for us as a personal thing now. Bolton Mansion's close, but it's Bristol Township. We still love that building and respect it as if it was our own. We want to do more, like Brian said, be there for cleanup days, working in the garden, whatever we can do. I have a pretty good core of about 10 of us. A couple are part-time, but our main core really is about 7 or 8, and they show up to everything. So it's whatever you need. I mean, we don't even have to do things for Three Arches. It could be for the parks. It could be for this building, whatever it is. So, we're here to help and, in that respect also. Then we did go out, we did purchase, like Brian said, the insurances and did all the paperwork just to show that we're dedicated, we're serious about this. And just like to say that, you know, we will show that building the utmost respect and try to bring awareness to the building, to the community even further.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Comments or questions from the board? Mr. Galloway.
I wouldn't know. Thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
No.
Mr. Dents?
No.
I guess in terms of just an explanation whether Ms. Gallagher wants to take this on or Mr. Andrews, in terms of, we mentioned a couple times asking this organization to get insurance. What's the logic behind that?
We required the individuals to obtain, I believe they did a rider with our carrier. This is not an LLC or any incorporated entity, so our carrier did provide a waiver and there was an extra cost to that. So the organization picked up the extra cost of the township for being added to our insurance. And that's in case any of the members either injure themselves or injure any of the property when in the course of performing any of the duties in the agreement.
Okay. Or if anybody that they're bringing in for tours and things gets injured, same idea, or?
Correct, but we actually have any individual that's brought in for a tour signing a waiver of liability, which is attached to the agreement as an exhibit.
Okay. Okay. I guess I'm operating a little bit of kind of on the lack of information, so I'll ask some I guess pretty simple questions. I'm assuming, although it could be bad assumptions, just too many movies, I guess, that this is something you do more at night, or does it not matter when you do it?
Well, they're there all the time, but that's a question I get all the time. Why do you do it at nighttime? It's basically because we need it to be quiet. We don't like to have the outside interferences, and a lot of these buildings are in residential areas. We do get lucky once in a while, and it's out somewhere where you don't hear anything. But if you're doing an EVP session, which is a digital recording, trying to speak to a spirit, which you can't hear with your own ears, but you can hear over the recording, we like not have any background, dogs barking, kids playing, cars going by, as little as we can. Okay. So that's one of the main reasons why we like to do it later in the evening when people are settling down. A lot of people will tell you that the veil between our world and the spirit world is thinner, you know, in the midnight hour to the 3 o'clock hour also. So there's a point of view of that too. So.
Okay. So now, and you kind of, I think you sort of alluded to an answer to the question I'm going to ask next, which is knowing that there are residences sort of right behind this building and sort of off to the side. The fact that you're going to be there at night, I'm assuming there's not a lot of noise you're making that's going to disturb people around you who at between 12 and 3 o'clock.
Right. No.
Okay.
No, we prefer it to be as quiet. I mean, we do take breaks, but we don't normally go outside. I'm really against people smoking when we're doing things. Obviously, drugs and alcohol also. So most of my group, we stay inside and we're contained in the building. Bringing in other groups, I mean, if they have to smoke a cigarette, of course, you know, we have them step outside, but we've never had any problems with any noise. The only thing that you would probably hear is maybe residents wondering why they're seeing all the flashes coming from the windows. I mean, we do take a lot of photography in while we're doing that, so that you would see. I don't think that poses any interruption to people sleeping or anything like that. You know?
There's a fair number of trees and things in the area, so I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. Okay, I'm trying to think if I had any other questions. Those are a couple of the simple ones. Any public comment? See one hand. Is there a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Guido Mariani, Falls Township. First, let me remind this board that that building at 3 Arches is as much my building as it is all the other residents of Falls Township. I don't mind certain activities, but I do object to paranormal activities or trying to contact some spirits or whatever to open portholes and invite certain entities into that building, and you don't know who they are or what they are. He's been pushed, he's been scratched. Friendly entities don't do that to people. And quite frankly, I think it's satanic. And I just think of like the witch of Endor when Saul says, Saul, why do you disturb my rest? I don't want that kind of activity in this township. I own that building just like anyone else does. I don't want that there. To those people who want to participate in this kind of activity, I'll give you some good advice. Hell has no exits. Once you get in there, there's no exit doors. You can't get out, okay? I'm not headed that way. I don't want anybody else accidentally or otherwise to get involved with this kind of satanic garbage, okay? That's the way I feel about it. Start that up, and I'll be back here every week telling you why you shouldn't have it. I'm absolutely opposed to that kind of stuff.
Okay. Any other people wish to speak? Yes, he is. No? Motion to close public comment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Andrews, what kind of time frame are we looking at?
As far
Like how-
as,
Like how often, how long?
probably a couple times a year. I think we were looking to do some studies, correct? Probably more like a couple times a year, and then we're looking to do other events too. Like I said, like cleanups, tree lighting where they would help out, and that sort of thing. Wouldn't be like every week or anything like that. Probably like every 3 months, probably in that range, something like that.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? No?
I'd be able to comment.
Sure,
I
absolutely.
mean, I don't know if it'll help or not, but I understand his concern, and we steer away from those types of situations too. There's different groups that do this stuff, that deal with those type of things. Like, if we walk in a building and if we see any kind of satanic or graffiti on the wall or anything like that, we don't even go in there. We don't want no parts of that. So we don't do any kind of the Ouija boards. We don't do seances. We don't do anything like that. We go in with equipment that has batteries in it. And, we do ask questions, and we kind of keep it to what's going on in the walls. We don't invite other things. And I've been doing it. I've never had any attachments, and I'm totally against the Ouija board. I would never do that. Don't own one. And like I said, we're not qualified to go in and do exorcisms and stuff like that as you read in the paper, or weird things. Other people do that stuff. Where when we go in, it's about the history of the building and the people that live there and the spirits and the energy that are still there. And we don't seek out, gargoyles or demons or anything like that. We do it with the most respect of the building and the residents that used to live there. So I just wanted to let you know that, and whether or not, if that helps on that or not.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so I guess at this point, what we'd be looking to do, the board's be looking to, if it was interested in, would be approving the proposal or entering into the agreement, or how
It
would
would
this
be
be phrased?
entering into the agreement with
Okay.
paranormal, the Fairless Hills Paranormal Group. And so the board is aware, this is set up so that this agreement expires at the end of this calendar year, with the ability to re-up for additional one-year periods.
Okay. All right. So again, just reiterating, if there was a motion to be made to enter into the agreement with Fairless Hills Paranormal Group, that would be the phrasing. Is there a motion from the board?
Looking for a motion to approve?
Well, any motion?
I'll make a motion to deny the paranormal activities for Three Arches Historical Building.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
No.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Okay. All right, appreciate your interest. I appreciate the work.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you for your time.
yep. Ms. Gallagher, thank you for your time on this.
Sure.
Okay, next item on our agenda is consider notice of intent to award the bids for the Three Arches Historical Building exterior painting project. So I guess, Mr. Gray, you want to go ahead?
A bid was received and submitted to Falls Township and publicly opened at 11:15 on February 12th. This bid was from Castle Painting, Inc. Base bid was $10,880. Castle Painting, Inc. is the lowest responsive bidder for the base bid of the Three Arches exterior painting project. It is recommended that the Board of Supervisors authorize the Township Engineer's Office to issue a notice of intent to award to Castle Painting, Inc. for the total bid cost of $10,880.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Andrews is here as well, obviously. From board members?
Yeah, I think I'd like to listen to the other renovations we're talking about first, if we can do that. Are we out of order doing that?
So why not? No, we do.
I mean, we're going to talk about all the interior and exterior, because the guy that's going to be doing the renovations,
And Mr.
they're
Sessa
working
is
with
here.
the
Yes.
painter. I'd like to hear from him before
Can I
we...
ask a question in regard to the painter first?
Yeah.
Was this the painter that he was going to bring on, or is this a different painter?
I believe that, I don't think that there was a painter associated with the initial quote that came in. That was just his estimate of what it would cost for him to contract that out.
Okay.
What are we talking about? Who's him?
Mr.
Mr.
The
Sessa,
back.
who was from 18th Century Restoration.
Here before, we talked about the painting, and then we separated out. I didn't know if this was the painter that he uses, or he would have hired, or it's not.
Yeah, that's why I would like to talk to him first.
I think it makes sense. No, it makes
go
sense.
back to the painting.
Yeah, let's kind of combine 3 and 4 here, because obviously it's obviously dealing with the same building. We'll have to take 2 different votes based on moving forward. But item 4, consider request for proposal for the Three Arches historical building restoration services. Mr. Gray, you want to touch on that?
Yes. One RFP was received that was from 18th Century Restorations. President is Wesley Sessa. Mr. Sessa, he is here tonight for any questions the board may have.
Okay. So,
Yeah, Mr. Sessa, if you would. Thank you. Glad we're finally getting to the point where we're going to start this project.
Wonderful building.
Now, the painting part of it, you're not going to have an issue working with this painter? I mean, do you even know who he is?
I don't, but it was very...
Mr. Sessa, you just have to get close to the
It
microphone.
was very clear to us that the board's discretion was to separate the 2 bids, and as professionals in the field, we're always happy to work with qualified contractors, and we're team players. So I don't know them, but I'm sure we can work with each other.
Okay.
I don't know who he is.
What about you, Sullivan? I mean, this guy doesn't think he's going to come in here and paint the whole thing in one weekend and be done, right?
That's correct.
What is correct?
That he will not do what you just said.
He understands that,
It
though.
was put on the bid specs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the bid specs
Okay.
were written with, working with Mr. Sessa in mind and all the things that have to do to prep before they paint, so.
Okay. Now, what would be your timeline from this point on if we say yes tonight?
Well, generally, the painter is a key participant in the restoration process. So we work hand in glove with him in phases. So long as he's flexible, not to have to complete the job in one fixed period, like 2 or 3 weeks, but understands that certain parts of the job get done at different increments. For example, the shutters might be painted later. The window sashes may have to be stripped before we fix the sashes, and then he primes and paints them, and then we put them back in. There's a interaction between us, and we do that quite well and reasonably in other jobs, so I'm hopeful that that would happen. I'm sure is it Castle?
Castle
Painting.
Castle Painting.
I'm sure that company and I would have a meeting with Mr. Sullivan or whoever you designate and have an understanding of how the rhythm goes. We're happy to work with any professional.
All right. Now, what would be your timeline for your work? When would you get started?
At your convenience.
Okay.
I mean, we're working in your township right now. We're working, we work a lot in historic Fallsington. We're working on Yardley Road for Mr. Pendle right now. We're actually doing window and trim restoration, according to your building supervisor, we're doing a fine job. And we've worked in that community for a while. So we're here. We could demobilize there and begin in 3 to 4 weeks. I wouldn't think we'd be starting your job till early May. The weather's not right.
Right.
And you certainly don't want to push the elements. It's always best to do this kind of work between May and October.
And how long do you think it's going to take you? When do you think it'd be completed?
Depending upon the interaction with the painter, the use of the building, the holidays where you may be occupying the building, where we may have to remove ourselves so it's safe for other people to participate. I think it's reasonable to say all this work would happen within 6 months at the most, possibly 4 months. Depends upon how quickly you want to proceed. If you wanted to do the whole project at once, or if you wanted to, do it in phases.
Okay. That answers my questions. Thank you.
I think it's a fair time frame.
Yeah. I mean, we'll cancel all activities. I mean, there's not much going on there. It's
Right,
worse,
yeah.
but there's the meetings that we have there, there's no reason they can't have them here.
Well, I understand that, but we're also working in historical structures all over Chester, Berks, and Montgomery counties, and we understand that historical structures have friends groups, they have fundraisers, people love them, they don't like to be excluded from them, even though there's work going on. So we always make it safe for at least part of the building to be appreciated and visited if you want that.
Okay.
And we're used to working with the museum community. That's our mission.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that answers all my questions.
All right, any other, just a minute, Mr.
sure,
Sessa,
I'll-
if you don't
I'll
mind,
stay
that's
around.
okay? That's all right. Any other questions for Mr. Sessa before we let him go?
No questions.
Okay. All right, so you want to go back to the painting real fast? Just
That's
to-
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the base bid, $10,880, Castle Painting Incorporated. Any questions for Mr. Sullivan regarding this particular bid? Mr. Galloway?
No.
Mr. Boraski?
How many bids was there?
1.
So he's the lowest.
He is the lowest bid by default.
He's also the highest.
That's all I have.
The median bid.
Mr. Dents, now you're good? Okay. And is this a company we have worked with before or know a little bit
Not
about?
to my knowledge, no.
Okay, all right. All right, so, and obviously we're notice of intent to award, so we're gonna look into their history a little bit, making sure that they meet our requirements.
That is correct.
Okay. All right, any public comment? See no hands. Okay, is there a motion then to issue a notice of intent to award to Castle Painting Incorporated, $10,880 for the exterior painting project of 3 Arches?
So moved?
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now we're looking at the historic restoration. And Mr. Sessa was just here talking a little bit about his plans and how he operates. And we're looking at sort of a laundry list of things that need to be done. And the grand total, $88,385. Okay. Comments or questions regarding this proposal? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Any public comment needed? See no hands. Yeah, I know we've talked a lot about it, and it's been quite a while now to trying to find somebody who we think is qualified and trying to figure out a plan for the building. And as Mr. Dent said, it's certainly glad we're moving forward and restoring a building that really has a lot of history, and hoping that it can sort of be more of a centerpiece for the township. So I'm happy to support this, and I think the rest of the board is too. So is there a motion then to approve or accept their proposal from 18th Century Restorations Incorporated, $88,385 for the 3 Arches historic renovation?
I'll make the motion.
Seconded?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right, so thank you again, Mr. Sessa, and
Is Miss Rose here? Is Rose here?
no, she's not, sorry.
I want to say that she is a fabulous voice of your community.
Okay.
I've spoken with her several times. I'm always amazed at the answers on the first ring in the township manager's office. And she's been very pleasant helping escort me through the process with your township. And so I just want to share her, my goodwill for her. She's an excellent spokesperson for your community.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Just so I know Mr. Sessa wasn't on the microphone, just complimenting our Township Secretary, Rose Mall, who certainly deserves a lot of praise, not just for the work she does dealing with companies like yours, but also having to put up with Mr. Gray. She more than earns her money.
Yes.
Okay. But I don't know if you want to tell her about all the praise from Mr. Sessa.
Yes.
I don't know if
Thank
that's
you.
going to make her difficult to work with for a little while or what.
Shall I expect a formal?
Yes, we will definitely, we'll be in communication with you, and Mr. Sullivan will be contacting you to start setting things up, and Mr. Andrews, I'm sure, as well.
May 1st would be a good beginning day, or maybe a little earlier if it's at your convenience, but that would be good for us.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your help, too.
Take that under advisement.
All right, item number 5 is consider authorizing the Township Manager to finalize the award for the Pinewood Pool repairs. Mr. Gray.
Yes, bids for this project were open February 10th. Notice of intent to award 2 poolside plasters was completed at the February 16th Board of Supervisors meeting. This company did successfully complete the responsible contractor's determination, and T&M is recommending the township finalize the project award and project contract with poolside plastering. The work is to be completed before Memorial Day weekend. The board is asked to consider this at this time.
Okay. And the cost, Mr. Gray?
Oh, I'm sorry, $147,912.25.
Okay. I guess for Mr. Sullivan, just give us an idea of the scope here. I know we talked about this when we advertised it several meetings ago, but just an idea for people that are looking forward to the pool season. We're just at Easter, but it's starting to feel like it's close to Memorial Day. So what exactly is happening, and what's your idea in terms of time frame and that kinds of things?
The majority of the work involves replastering the main pool, the Pinewood pool. There may be some tile work around the outside, and some of the metal coping may have to be worked on, but for the most part, it is a replastering job. They don't have any problem getting it done before Memorial Day. They think it's a 30-day maximum job. 30 days max to do this.
Okay.
They'll start as soon as they can.
Okay. All right, comments or questions from board members for Mr. Sullivan, or I guess Mr. Andrews? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Brasky?
No.
Mr. Dents?
None.
The public commented? See no hands? Okay, so we would be authorizing the Township Manager to finalize the award for the Pinewood Pool Repairs Project. This is the amount of $147,912.25 to Poolside Plastering Incorporated. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All in favor? Sorry, my fault, I jumped the gun. Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Confused me there.
I know, sorry. All right, item 6 is consider 2016-17 stone and asphalt bids for Falls Township. Mr. Gray.
Jason Lawson from the Public Works Department submitted a memo regarding the Bucks County Consortium. The road material bid was opened by New Britain Township, and results were forwarded to Falls Township. It is recommended the Board of Supervisors award the consortium road materials bid to 3 separate companies. The stone and aggregate items would go to Eureka Stone Quarry, the blacktop and binder material to Walter R. Earl, and the cold patch material to HEI Way LLC. The board is asked to consider these 3 companies. In addition, Mr. Lawson is here for any questions the board may have.
Okay. All right, comments or questions for Mr. Lawson? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Brasky?
No questions.
None.
Okay, any public comment? Obviously, this is road, we contract out for a lot of road work, but there's road work our township staff does. And so this is looking for the materials and going in with a consortium, a lot of municipalities going together, hopefully drives the price down. Okay, so, and I did notice in Mr. Lawson's memo, in terms of the blacktop and binder, Walter R. Earl, but he also was looking to see if Eureka Stone could be a backup vendor. Is that something we'd be able to do, or is that something, how would that, I guess we could do that in any?
You can, if you want to award it to Walter R. Earl, but also then say that Eureka Stone Quarry can be a backup. Obviously, Mr. Lawson would have to go through certain protocol before going on to the second vendor to buy it. We could talk about that with Jason, and I'm sure we could just figure out a system where if the first one isn't available or isn't able to provide, that we can then move on to the second one.
Okay. All right. Any kind of other, everybody's good with that?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, so do we, as the township, was the board, is there a motion to accept the bids as presented in the March 3rd memo from Mr. Lawson regarding Stoughton aggregate, blacktop and binder, and cold patch? Yeah, we'll just say according to the memo that he's produced, which lists everything in here.
Yes.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, item 7 is consider purchase of a 2016 Ford F-250 crew cab for the Public Works Department. Mr. Gray?
Yes, I received a memo again from Mr. Lawson regarding the purchase of a vehicle for the Public Works Department. This is a Ford F-250 crew cab 4x4 for $33,225. This is off the CoStar's bid list. This will be purchased from Hondru Ford in Manheim. The budgeted amount was $30,000. Board is asked to consider this purchase at this time.
Okay. Comments or questions from Mr. Lawson regarding the purchase of the truck?
None.
No, I know, I spoke to Mr. Lawson about some points that we talked about where this truck was only a few thousand more than what was budgeted. And the nice size of the truck. The truck's a big truck, but, you know, we can always put it back into our fleet, put a plow on it, we can use it around the township, so. And it really was almost equivalent to if you were to buy an F-150 or a Explorer or something that size, right?
Yes.
They had a good deal on the full-size trucks.
Yes. Hopefully, you know.
Microphone, sorry, Mr. Lawson. That's okay.
Hopefully, you know, things will work out where we could add a plow to the truck and use it. You know, there's some contractual restraints there with me being a director and working certain times and areas. So hopefully, you know, maybe someday it'll come around and we will be able to utilize it. I will not be the only one utilizing the truck. If someone needs to use it, they can use it. You know, it is.
So it fits into what we do.
It fits into what we do. I couldn't see buying an Explorer, couldn't see buying an F-150. I mean, they're just not made for what we do. You can't roll it into the fleet and put a plow on it. You go to tow the big trailers with something on it, you know, you put a lot of wear and tear on the F-150 over time. So, I mean, we're trying to buy things that are going to last. And, you know, by looking at the fleet out back, it is old, but they did last 20 years, so.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Thanks.
Spence?
No, I have no questions, comments.
Any public comment? Okay, so we're looking then to approve the purchase of a 2016 Ford F-250 crew cab for the Public Works Department in the amount of $33,225.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Paul?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
All right, item 8, consider purchase of a dump truck for the Public Works Department. Mr. Gray?
Yes, I also received another memo from Mr. Lawson as well regarding a quote for the purchase of a new large dump truck for the Public Works Department. The cab and chassis would be to Bucks County International for $85,858. The body, plow, and other outfit for would be from U.S. Municipal Supply for $76,785. Total purchase is $162,643. All the items listed above are on the CoStar's contract list. Total budget amount for this item is $167,000. The board is asked to consider the purchase of this item at this time.
Okay. right, Mr. Lawson, if you don't mind, just, I think people kind of already have an idea what we'd use this vehicle for, but just give us an idea of what it's replacing maybe, and also, you know, the use we're gonna have for it.
This item was budgeted for the 2016 budget before I got here. It is something definitely needed in the Public Works. It will be replacing a 1988 GMC 7000. It is basically a 39,000 gross weight vehicle, I think, 39,000. So it'll be used to haul the blacktop, haul the stone. It's the bigger truck. It's also used for the plowing and salting of the township roads with the plow, the spreader, spinner, and everything else. When I had gotten here, we had already had this, well, I hadn't had it, but the Public Works Department had this, all the quotes in and that, and basically what I did was just called and beat them up as much as I could. We got a reduction in the price from $167,680 to $162,643, so it was like $4,some $100 that we beat them up for. We went to a couple different vendors, and they came down to the lowest one, and then Bucks County International, who does majority of the work for the township on their larger trucks when they need it, said, hey, we always service your trucks. How can we get into, you know, you buying from us? And we said, hey, this is our lowest price, can you beat it? The thing with CoStars is they're at rock bottom as it is. Bucks County International said, I cannot beat it, but I can match it. So that is the reason why we went from, I believe, 5-star to Bucks County International. So they match the price. They're close to us. They do all the work on our trucks. They are CoStar approved. So, I mean, it was good that, you know, that they could come down and help us as much as they could. And then the body in that is all done through U.S. Municipal Supply for the spreaders, upfit, and all that. We went back to them. They said that they were at rock bottom, that they couldn't go no more, and I told them, you know, you have to do something. So they went back to J&J Body, who actually dropped their price about $1,000, so that helped them out. So that's where we are with that truck. But it is one of the larger dump trucks that are used in the township.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Lawson? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
Just more of a comment. I was going to actually comment that it was a 1988 that we're replacing. You know, the length that the time we're getting out of the trucks is pretty good. And the new body, that's aluminum or?
Yes, all the upfit that Joe had put together is top notch. I mean, they're PennDOT specs, and they're spec to last. With the salt just tears metal apart. So the aluminum bodies is what makes it through the salt. Another thing that Joe had started, which is great here, is he uses salt like neutralizer. So when they wash the trucks down after salting and that, they clean the truck, they raise the body, they spray the whole body down with a salt neutralizer, which really saves on the frame, the hoses, and all the other things. So what Joe has started, practice, is great. And the way that they spec the trucks, they are meant to last, you know, and you're trying to get 30 years out of a truck. Before you buy a truck, it would last 30 years, but the body wouldn't. So now they make aluminum bodies and they last. So, yeah.
All right, and just to add, I appreciate you putting in the extra effort to get the price reduced.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. You? No?
No, I'm good.
Okay, public comment? No? Yeah, it's good. You know, replacing a 1988 vehicle, so let's see, you and Miss Gallagher were in early elementary school, maybe? First are still believing in Santa, I think, at
Second
that point?
grade.
Yeah.
What was the year?
Say 88?
Yeah, second grade.
Wow.
Mr. Clark was in his early 40s, I guess.
That's right.
So, all right, so total purchase price, again, looking to authorize the purchase of a dump truck, according to the memo from Mr. Lawson, in the amount of $162,643. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 9, consider memorandum of agreement with the International Union of Operating Engineers and the Public Works Department. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Towards the end of last summer, Mr. Gray and I began to meet to review our collective bargaining agreement with the operating engineers for the Public Works Union. In the early part of the fall, we began to have discussions with the board about the issues that we saw in the contract. And then in early November, we began to meet with the union. We met with them about 4 different times, and we have reached a memorandum of agreement on a new 4-year contract that we are asking the board to approve the memorandum of agreement this evening. It has already been approved by the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 542. The contract is a 4-year contract. It will call for salary increases of 3% per year. One change to the contract will be that a newly hired employee will be assigned to work a Sunday through Thursday shift. And with the fact that the contract already contains a Tuesday through Saturday shift, this should help reduce overtime from employees having to work on the weekends. This was an issue that was important to the township, so we had coverage 7 days a week without always having to have overtime. The pension contributions remain the same. There has been a slight increase in the short-term and the long-term disability. Obviously, with Mr. Lawson being hired, we had to rewrite the foreman's job responsibilities, and that took us a little bit of time with the union, but that has been rewritten. And one of the things that this contract includes is the ability for any of our public works employees who are volunteer firefighters for fire companies in Falls Township, that they will be able to leave work to respond to a fire call without a loss of pay, and they will qualify for the township workers' compensation coverage, which is no different from all of our volunteer firefighters to begin with. This was an issue that was brought to our attention by board members. Obviously, the fire companies, the ability to have people respond quickly is important as people's jobs are taking them out of the township. It's sometimes difficult for the fire companies to get enough people present when there's a fire during the day, and this was thought to be a help for them. So this will be a memorandum of agreement, a memorandum of understanding, excuse me, that will be separate for the contract because we want to give it a 1-year test run to see how it works, to see if there's anything that needs to be tweaked or improved in future years. So we may be coming back to you with this memorandum of agreement at the end of this year after we get a chance to see how it works. On behalf of Mr. Gray and I believe since we both brought this to the union, we are recommending that the board approve this memorandum of agreement with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 542.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Clark or Mr. Gray? Mr. Galloway?
No, I just know that you put a lot of work into it, and I think you did a good job, and thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Okay, and I want to thank, I know Mr. Clark mentioned the memorandum of understanding for employees who are members of a volunteer fire company. It was Mr. Boraski who brought that up first. I thought it was a great idea. I think the rest of the board did too. I just want to thank you for bringing that to everybody's attention and raising that as a possibility. And thank you for the work, Mr. Gray and Mr. Clark. I know Ms. Rukoff was also involved, crunching numbers, doing that kind of thing, so we can pass our thanks on to her as well. And thank the union for their willingness to negotiate on these issues. Any public comment? See one hand. Is there a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Couple of questions, and I want to start with the health program. What is our proposed cost for family in a single plan?
Let's see, the gears are working inside Mr. Gray's head as he's trying to come up with that number.
Annually?
Is that what you're looking for, Mr.
Yes.
Trouble? Yes, annually.
Yeah.
For a family membership, is that what I heard?
Yes.
Approximately $38,000 a year.
$38,000.
Yes.
Okay. And what is the employee's contribution toward that?
Zero.
Zero. Does the health care follow an employee after retirement?
No.
No? Do we still have
Of course, you would get COBRA.
Well, you can get COBRA, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whether or not it follows them. Do we still have a get-out clause for half the plan?
I mean, if your spouse has insurance and you take that
And-
insurance, do you get paid? Do you get reimbursed?
And you don't take our, but you
Correct.
get half of the premium.
This one does not have,
Well, the last one did.
the Public Works?
Yeah.
I don't believe it does.
No, I think the police officer
Police,
does.
the police have that.
I might be wrong there then, but you're taking this plan out at $38,000. That is what I guess they call a Cadillac plan. That's what they're going to tax 40% on.
It's a Rolls-Royce plan.
It's a Rolls-Royce plan. It's an out-of-sight plan.
Yes.
Okay? What insurance company is going to eat 40% of any insurance they write you without you picking up the 40%? That,
Well, Mr. Marietta, I'll let you know, one of the things that was sort of I guess slowed down the negotiations was concern about what you're raising right now, which was the Cadillac tax.
Yeah.
However, that has been put on hold indefinitely. So that's really, in terms of the life of this contract, it's not something that's going to come
I
up.
understand it says 2018, but if regardless of the life of this contract, look, I was a member of the Teamsters Union, 929, I was a member of 1776, I'm an active member now of a union, dues-paying union, so I am for labor. This is outrageous, in my opinion, and it shouldn't be approved. So, the salary, 3%, you're within the ballpark there. I think we are. With 2016, they're projecting 2.7% for raises. Do all our employees receive the same raise across the board
This year? Yes.
for the contract? Everybody gets a 3%.
I believe everybody does.
Okay. I'd like to see that changed. I'd like to see that changed to where we can have a top tier to a base type employee remuneration, so that it's not based on seniority or anything else. A person coming in with only 2 years doing the work of let's say a tier 4 gets a tier 4 pay. He shouldn't be at the bottom of the list. It should be based entirely on production. My last question is the pension. What percentage did you say we contribute to that?
5%.
5%. Is there a COLA in that?
No.
No. What age can a employee begin to collect a pension?
I think it's after 65. There's different rules for this particular plan they're in. They're in the PMRS. I believe it's 65.
Okay, I bring that up again because most townships are beginning the pension program is a considerable burden for most townships, okay? I had said that I encouraged this township to match 50% of an employee's contribution for the first 6% of his salary that the employee contributes. Once you do that, that ensures that this township will never have to pay more than 3% of an employee's salary. Consider that, okay? I think you're in line pretty much with everything. You're going to have to address this medical plan that we have in this township. It is absolutely outrageous, and I'm talking to you as an active union dues-paying member. It's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Harvey, if I could, you were right, that one of the things that did kind of slow down the negotiations a little bit was in the beginning, the union was requesting a 5-year contract, and we were only offering a 2-year contract. That's when the excise tax of the Affordable Care Act that Mr. Mariani is referring to, that's when it was scheduled to go into effect in January 1st of 2018. The excise tax has now been pushed back to January 1st of 2020, and there is some thought that it may get pushed back even further. That's why this is a 4-year deal, so it'll expire on 12/31 of 2019. And one of the discussions that the board has been having is looking at the excise tax with all of our unions, realizing that it is something that we are going to have to address by the time we get to the end of 2019. So, but this contract will not in any way will implicate the excise tax, because it will expire prior to the excise tax coming into play.
Okay, thank you.
Whether it does or it doesn't, it's outrageous.
Well, and another important factor, and I think this is something that you can't lose sight of, is a lot of municipal entities that see employees coming and going, and I wouldn't put Mr. Lawson on the spot, but he can probably tell you, he's got a very seasoned, experienced group that he's working with right now. One of the reasons is that our employees are fairly compensated for the work that they do for the township. We have a lot of high-quality people who work for us, who've been with us for a long period of time. The risk is always that you try to nickel and dime them on 2.5% and everything else, then maybe they flee to Lower Makefield, or maybe they flee to Bristol, or maybe they flee somewhere else. And then the gap that you're going to have in the quality of the employee, the gap that you're going to have in the knowledge of the employee, that's something that ends up costing the township. And we have a very seasoned, very skilled, very capable group of employees in the Public Works Department.
I don't think the flow isn't going from Falls Township to Bristol Township. It's
That's
kind of,
true.
It's sort of going the other way.
It's definitely going the other way.
So,
Let me add this. According to the Cato Institute analysis of data that was taken from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average compensation, Mr. Clark, per hours worked of state and local government workers is 45% higher than the average workers in the private sector. And if you take a look at the Falls Township demographics, we're probably closer to 60%.
Yeah, and that's a false statistic, because they're taking into account people who are in the food service industry and people who are making $2.13 an hour, so it's a false statistic.
all right, thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate your
thank
comments,
you.
Mr. Maroney. Thank you. All right, is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so we're looking to approve the memorandum of agreement with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 542, as presented, term of 4 years, retroactive to January 1st. Okay, is there a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item is the minutes from our last meeting. Comments, questions, corrections on the minutes?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
Is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Engineers report, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. The only highlight I have at this point is the missing pile was installed at the Quaker Penn Park boat ramp. And the right side docks, all the docks have been floated, so they are installed and they will stay that way until we take them out in the fall. We have not floated the left side docks because they need some minor repairs, so they'll probably be installed at the usual time, somewhere around April 15th. We made it right before the deadline, about a day or two before the deadline, we got the pile in. So we're very happy about that.
Okay, good.
And that's really all I have, other than any questions you might have.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Brasky?
No questions.
Mr. Dents?
Yeah. What's with the driveways on Bernard and that area in Hedgerow Woods?
Still waiting on the weather.
Lakefield Road Village, what?
Still waiting on the weather, but we will take care of those.
Been working outside for 3 weeks, it's pretty nice. I mean, do they have a schedule? Have you talked to them at all?
No, I haven't talked to them at all yet. We're gonna put together a punch list, you know, a post-winter punch list, and start talking at that point of what the schedule might be.
I think you need to go over there soon and start looking at driveways again, because there's some that have gotten worse over the winter.
I'm sure they have. It's usually the case.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to accept the February 2016 engineering report?
So moved.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me. Bill list for this month, $1,905,263.15. Of that 1.9 million, 1.1 million is salary and health insurance. And then there's some other money in here, about $27,000 for the road program. And there's some other items in here, but again, 1.1 million out of the 1.9 is salary and health insurance for the township. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the bills? Anyone?
No.
No.
Okay, is there a motion to pay the bills, $1,905,263.15?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Brasky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Okay, we did have a brief executive session before our meeting. Mr. Clark?
Yes, Mr. Harvey, during the executive session, the board discussed a personnel matter.
Okay, thank you. Manager comment?
Just a few items tonight, Mr. Chairman. Township received a letter from Mr. Sullivan dated March 7th regarding escrow release number 3 for Marmar Builders. T&M is recommending the amount of $29,075.85 for release. The board is asked to consider escrow release number 3 for Marmar Builders.
Okay, and Marmar, the builders that are doing the townhouses on West Trenton?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So escrow release, $29,075.85. Comments or questions? If not, is there a motion to authorize the release?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Brasky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Township received another letter from Mr. Sullivan dated March 7th regarding escrow release number 2 for Fairless Hills Credit Union. T&M is recommending an escrow release in the amount of $48,025.57. The board is asked to consider escrow release number 2 for Fairless Hills Credit Union.
And I was seeing a little bit on some people I guess on Facebook asking what the building was that's going up on New Falls Road, just past the Burger King and the Pennsbury Pharmacy. Used to be the old bike shop. That is what this project is. Fairless Hills Credit Union is building there. So this is escrow release, $48,025.57. Any comments or questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the release?
So moved.
Seconded.
You're so slow on every one, aren't you? A little bit behind. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Brasky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Township received a letter from Mr. Hecker dated March 17th regarding McGrath Homes, New Falls Road LLC, St. Joseph's Court, requesting an extension of time on the land development conditional use applications until July 31st, 2016. The board is asked to consider this extension.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan?
No.
Is there a motion to authorize the extension to July 31st, 2016?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Township received a letter from Carl Dress from Heritage Design Collaborative regarding Pennsbury Manor, a waiver of land development application, requesting an extension on this waiver of land development for 60 days until May 23rd, 2016. The board is asked to consider this extension.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the 60-day extension for Pennsbury Manor?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On March 15th, 2016, a hearing was held pursuant to Chapter 206, Section 12 of the Falls Township Code regarding allegations that Emily Towing and Recovery had violated Chapter 206 of the code. Based on the evidence presented, it is recommended that the Board of Supervisors find that Emily did violate Chapter 206 of the Township Code on February 1st, 2016. It is recommended that a fine of $50 plus the township's attorney fees in the amount of $1,443 be imposed for the violation. Finally, it is recommended that a formal warning letter be issued that advises Emily that any further violations of the code will result in further sanctions, including but not limited to the revocation of the wrecker's license. The board is asked to consider this recommendation at this time.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray or Ms. Gallagher regarding this issue?
No.
I see Emily's in the back, but I'm just kind of curious. They understood that there was a $50 fine, and
Yeah, prior to the hearing, we had notified them that the township was willing to resolve the matter with an admission of guilt and the payment of a $50 fine. At the hearing, it was indicated to Mr. Gray and myself that rather than avail themselves of that, they wanted to come in and express and tell what had happened and express their apologies for the incident. And the letter did indicate that if they went to a hearing, that if they were found in violation, it would tag on the attorney's fees.
Attorney fees were how much, 1,400?
$1,443.
was that your understanding?
Well, I understand, I didn't know that we have to pay it.
You have to use the mic.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't my understanding that we had to pay attorney fees for $1,400. We came in I wanted to come in and apologize that we had a power outage that morning. It was a February 1st. There was a snowstorm. We had responded to 2 other tows that morning earlier, and around noontime, a little after noon, they said that they had called us and tried to call us. We never got the call because we didn't have power in our office. Our system goes through our computer that's in our office that runs off electric, so we weren't able to get any calls for a few hours. So instead of just paying a $50 fine, I wanted to come in and explain myself and let them know why we weren't there and what had happened.
Appreciate that.
Board members, as you may recall, this was an issue, I think, about a year or so ago that was raised by Mr. Rocco when we were having, or it might have been even more than a year ago, when we were having a lot of these hearings. And Mr. Rocco began to become a little frustrated by the fact that there were, $100, $200, $250 fines that were being assessed against the towers for violation of our ordinance. And then there would be $800, $1,000, $1,500, sometimes in the more complicated matter of legal fees. We changed that in our ordinance. We updated that in our ordinance. And in the letter that was sent to Emily Towing, we made it clear to them that if they wanted to just accept the $50 fine, they could, but if they chose to have a hearing, there may be attorney's fees or other costs incurred by the township. So there was notice.
And when was that letter sent?
It was sent on March 1st, and there was back and forth between Emily and...
Was that before the hearing?
Yes.
Okay, so the $1,400, I mean, you see the position we're in, that you're saying, you apologize, and we understand, and obviously it's unfortunate that it happened, the power outage, but in the meantime, the township has racked up $1,400 in legal fees that,
Is what it is.
that the
I paid
taxpayers...
$1,400.
Okay, that the taxpayers have to pay for. That's our position, that's the concern we
Yeah.
have. So, okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. All right, is there a motion then to accept the manager's recommendation in the matter of Falls Township versus Emily Towing?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate you
All
being
good?
here.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
I do have one other item. I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Gallagher.
As the board will recall, there was a matter in front of you probably about a year ago regarding 27 Lower Morrisville Road. It was in a property that's located in the historic district, and there was a request to place vinyl siding on the property. The Historic Review Board had suggested the denial of the request, and this board did deny it. That matter was appealed to the Court of Common Pleas, and we have been able to, working with Mr. Sullivan's office, come up with a proposal for alternate siding that will aesthetically match the existing historical siding, but also allow the homeowners to put in synthetic materials. We've circulated the type of material that will be put in place, and with the board's approval, we'd like authority to execute the settlement agreement with the property owners.
Any comments or questions for Ms. Gallagher or Mr. Sullivan?
No.
Ms. Boraski?
No, I have nothing. I know it was tough to try to find something to simulate what was already there or, kind of existing in any area.
Right, and I think the property owners were actually pleased that we were able to find a material that will work for both sides, so.
And just one other thing,
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Going forward, I know we kind of spoke, we were hoping to maybe kind of clean up the ordinance and that to allow some of these other,
Yes, I
not
think,
have these same issues again.
right, and I think it makes sense to take a look at the ordinance now that this matter has been resolved, and Mr. Gray and I will be meeting with the Historic Review Board to discuss amendments to that part of the ordinance.
Thanks.
Okay.
Was the Historic Review Board notified?
They're not a party to the litigation. I know that, I believe Mr. Bennett's aware of it, but I don't know if the board was notified of the settlement. So the board had recommended the hardy plank siding, and the siding that we were able to find is virtually identical from a distance.
We'll make sure they're notified.
No, you cost us money to do it, we'll take care of it.
Well, when I say we, I was gonna ask Mr. Gray to have a call.
So you meant Rose?
Yeah, Rose.
Okay.
Regional buyers.
All right, any other comments or questions?
No.
Okay, so then we are looking for a motion to authorize the solicitors to execute the agreement.
That's correct.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Board comment? Mr. Dents?
I have no comment tonight.
Mr. Boraski?
No comment.
Mr. Galloway?
I just want to comment on the parade that occurred last Saturday. Well, it was a week ago Saturday now. The St. Patrick's Day celebration went off beautifully. We had wonderful weather. Congratulations to Maggie Lorady. She's the director of the McCoy School of Dance. She was the Grand Marshal of the parade, and we marched in honor of law enforcement this year. We had many police within the parade, as Maggie's had her son himself is a detective, I believe, down in Atlantic City. We had over 100 volunteers turn out and thousands of participants. It was a beautiful day again, and I want to thank everyone who participated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and the rest of the committee, for all the work they put in. You're right, it was, I've been marching now for a long time. It was one of the most perfect days in terms of weather. It was, you couldn't ask for anything better. It was a great crowd, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it. As we're coming up to this weekend, obviously, a special time of year for people who are Christian and Jewish as well, and so a happy Easter, a happy Passover to those members of our community. It's something that I was debating about whether or not to sort of get into this tonight a little bit, but I might as well just jump in because everybody else seems to jump into it. In a time that's supposed to be recognizing peace and harmony and rebirth, I'll ask, hopefully, for people to think seriously about the election that's coming up in this state in April and the one that will happen in November, and decide if their vote is going to reflect what they think this country should be doing and where it should be going. Certainly some of the things that are happening are a little bit worrisome for anybody that I think really cares about this country. And I think a lot of people have very legitimate concerns, but how those concerns are being voiced and how they're being presented, I think, do not reflect very well upon the history of this country or the kind of people that we can be. I certainly believe this is the greatest country in the world, but there are certainly times when we need to step back and make sure that we're living up to that phrase and not just saying it over and over again and believing it to be true. Hopefully the spirituality that this week is supposed to have in it will give some people some cause to think about the words they say and post online and the things that they believe and the direction they want the country to go in, they'll make the good choices, I hope, we've made in the past. So with that, I want to thank everybody for their time and effort in this meeting and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And we're all